Today, we're going to ask a really big question. What if the entire purpose of school is just wrong? We're diving into a radical rethink of education, one that puts a student's happiness right at the center of everything. So where does this big idea come from? Well, our guide for this is the work of Stanford educational philosopher Nell Noddings. Her book, Happiness and Education, basically throws a wrench in decades of thinking about what school is supposed to be for. So let's jump into her core idea. Noddings actually builds on this really powerful idea from another giant in education, John Dewey. He said that the real key to happiness, it's finding out what you are uniquely good at, what you're fitted to do, and then actually getting the chance to go out and do it. But that just raises a huge question, doesn't it? If finding our own unique path is the secret sauce, then why do our schools so often feel like they're just pushing every single student down the exact same, very narrow academic road? All right, so let's start by unpacking the common excuses for this one-size-fits-all model. And, let's see if they actually make any sense. The first big argument you always hear is about money. It's the economy. The idea is that if we just force every single kid through the same tough academic program, we'll magically create this super skilled workforce that's going to boost the whole national economy. But here's where the story just completely falls apart. We're told technology means we need more people with these high-level academic skills. But as economists like Paul Krugman have pointed out, technology often reduces the number of jobs in those areas and actually pushes job growth into totally different sectors. And, the numbers really tell the story. According to the U.S. Labor Department, look at the jobs with the highest projected growth: cashiers, janitors, salespeople, waiters. Out of the top 5, only one, nursing, actually requires a college degree. So that whole economic argument for a single college prep track for everyone, it just doesn't line up with reality. Okay, so what about the second big reason? This one's all about fairness, about equality. The argument here is that by making every single student take these same hard classes, like algebra, we're giving everyone an equal shot at the prize. But does it really work out that way? What actually happens when you force a curriculum designed for maybe one type of kid onto all kids, no matter what their talents or their passions or their goals are? Well, the fallout, as Noddings shows us, is often the complete opposite of what was intended. You get more kids failing classes they never even wanted to be in. Dropout rates climb. Students suffer this huge blow to their self-esteem, and they lose the precious time they could have used to find something they're actually great at. Even the subjects themselves get watered down into what she calls caricatures of the real thing, just to push kids through. And this quote it hits the nail on the head. Real equality isn't about treating everybody identically. It's about giving every person the chance to thrive. So forcing a curriculum that only fits a few students onto everybody else isn't equal. Noddings argues it's actually deeply undemocratic. So if the current system is broken, what's the alternative? Well, this brings us to Noddings' vision for a totally new kind of school, one that's built on choice, not on force. This is the big shift. What if we just reoriented the entire system? What if instead of asking, is this kid ready for college, we started asking, is this kid on a path that could lead to a happy, fulfilling life? Now, this doesn't mean it's a total free-for-all. Noddings has this idea she calls gentle coercion. The point is to expose all students to a huge variety of things: math, art, literature, car mechanics, you name it, but as a form of exploration. It's like a buffet. You get to try a little bit of everything, for fun, without the stress of being graded on it. So a student's whole journey would look totally different. Middle school becomes this time for risk-free discovery, to just find out what you love. Then, when you get to high school, you can make a real informed choice about what you want to study, because you've actually tried things out. And then, after you graduate, you can proudly go after a life that makes you happy, whether that involves college or a trade or anything else. And, in a system like this, the teacher's role completely changes. They're not there to sort kids into piles of winners and losers. No, they become trusted guides who actually know their students and can give them real advice, helping them find the path that is genuinely right for them. This whole system really rests on a few key beliefs. First, respecting all kinds of talents, not just the academic ones. Creating real, meaningful, and respected pathways for every single student. Making student choice a fundamental part of their education. And maybe most important of all, believing that all honest work has dignity. Okay, but this leads to one final, really important question. What does all this mean for traditional learning? Are we just ditching intellectualism? I mean, what about the kids who genuinely love physics or who get a thrill out of literary criticism? Does this new model just leave them behind? No, absolutely not. In fact, you could argue it makes their experience even better because it completely changes their motivation. Think about it this way. Right now, so much of high-level learning is treated like a competition. It's all driven by stuff on the outside, getting a higher GPA, getting into the right college. Noddings' model flips that. It sees intellectualism as a passion, driven by things on the inside. That feeling of wonder, the satisfaction of accomplishing something hard, and the pure happiness that comes from it. As she puts it, these tough intellectual courses shouldn't be hurdles you have to clear. They should be courses for the people who are genuinely, passionately interested in them. So in the end, the whole goal of learning just transforms. It's not about just getting something over with, or checking a box, or beating the person next to you. It becomes about experiencing wonder and accomplishment and happiness. And that really leaves us with one final thought. If we actually designed our schools to help every single kid find their own unique path to wonder and happiness, what would be the very first thing we would change?